well, I first went there in 2009 as a tourist, um, and that was kind of my initial reference point for the country. Um, just doing the normal tourist things, um, pyramids and Egyptian museum. And what I remember of Tahrir Square at that point was it was quite a large, relatively empty space in what's an otherwise incredibly crowded city. Um, I came back to Egypt at the start of 2012, and that was just before the 1 year anniversary of the uprising, which overthrew President Mubarak. And at that time, Egypt was still in this like incredibly optimistic mood that positive change was possible. So on the 1 year anniversary of the uprising, Tahrir Square was filled with just thousands of people, and I mean, a lot of people would probably remember the images from the news and stuff at that time. But I mean, it was just this incredibly electric atmosphere of really friendly people. Was eating popcorn and singing and dancing and waving flags and people painting each other's faces and stuff. And as I stayed there for the next 2 years, I kind of got to see that optimism wane and kind of get replaced by mounting frustration and suspicion and sort of mutual distrust as the country became increasingly polarized over people's ideas of what shape the country should take. So when Morsi was elected in 2013, before the election results were announced, the all of Cairo was in this space of suspended animation, and it was really surreal. There were no cars on the street, and people were like stocking up on like essentials at the stores. So you go into a store and it was like all the stock was depleted, and then the streets were empty. It was kind of felt like it was on the cusp of like some kind of calamity. But then Morsi was announced winner of the presidential elections. Tahrir Square filled up with his supporters. It was like a really, really hot day in the middle of summer, blazing sun, and people were spraying water from the stage onto the crowd. And then very quickly that kind of mood soured as a lot of people were opposed to some of the decisions Morsi was making. And as that summer turned into winter, there was like a lot of street fighting, a lot of clashes. It would be between Morsi supporters and people against him, and throwing rocks, Molotov cocktails, that kind of thing. So by that stage, the mood had really changed in the city. When I got back there in 2012, people riding the metro would be having sort of political debates with strangers in that kind of heated but respectful way. And then by the time of the coup, so this was kind of when was that? Mid 2013. When Sisi overthrew Morsi, there was just this like wave of nationalistic fervor, and all of the voices that supported him were amplified a million times, and anyone who was opposed to him didn't dare speak out, really. On the day of the coup, I was editing a newspaper, and I don't remember exactly what time. I think it was announced maybe early evening or something. The official announcement, that Morsi's been replaced, Sisi stepping in. The entire streets were just packed with people, and there was singing and dancing and beating drums and fireworks, and the noise inside the apartment was, I mean, even with the windows shut, it was just this like roar, which went for hours and hours till like 2 a.m. It was like this like ecstasy outpouring of emotion of all these people who'd been terrified that like Morsi was going to like threaten their way of life. And then that was kind of replaced by this witch hunt atmosphere afterwards, where any kind of pro-Muslim Brotherhood demonstration was set upon by people in the street, where people believed that Western journalists were agents of foreign governments and became very difficult to work. And was basically a really negative atmosphere to live in, and not just for Westerners, but anyone living there at that time. And this was the kind of time when people who had the opportunity started to think about leaving. Egyptians who had an education or had the means. All of my friends basically just wanted to get out, and that was the kind of mood that I left the country in. And I would like to go back, but hopefully at some point in the future where that mood has been replaced by something that was maybe more akin to the mood when I arrived in the country at the start of 2012.